Yeah, hi again. Hi everyone. Hirsch Saha here, reporting from Auckland as usual. And today is Tuesday, the 20th of February, 2024. And in this talk video, I'd like to discuss quite an interesting theory. It is an academic theory. I know some people don't really welcome them with exactly open arms, but it is an academic theory that I learned in a management paper which I studied as an undergraduate student in my third year of university, 2004, so basically 20 years ago. And even though I studied it as an undergraduate student, and even though it was a 200 level paper, or basically a second year paper here in New Zealand, it was actually a paper that was basically as hard as a master's degree paper. I remember the lecturer telling us about that at the time. And, it had longer readings and it was quite involved, it had just a lot to it. But basically, so I do remember that, and I did find it quite hard at the time. But I do remember also it being quite interesting and learning a lot from it. And still, now what is 20 years later, I still actually remember a lot of it. And it was sort of talking about different eras. You can talk about different eras in many different ways. Like historians talk about the three main eras in human history, basically being prehistoric one, medieval, Middle Ages two. That's why it's in the middle, and then thirdly now modern. And I think they are very roughly prehistoric would be from the beginning of civilization to about 4 or 500 AD. Middle Ages would be about that 4 or 500 AD to about probably again 14, 1500-ish AD, and then after that 1500 AD or so to the present would be known as modern times. But this theory we learnt in this 200 level management paper in undergraduate study 20 years ago talked about the three sort of main ages as being pre-modernism, modernism secondly, and postmodernism thirdly. Modernism basically being when people started to see things more as machines and they started to accept science more and understand it better. Pre-modernism was basically when people were very much they were focused on believing religion and what the church said and making, connections which today might seem a bit bizarre, but really sort of judging purely based on observation, emotion, sometimes what even made you sort of happy or what worked for you at the time. That was sort of pre-modernism and seeing, I guess, the human body as really a living organism as a being. But then came modernism, the second stage, which was really seeing things more as a machine, seeing the human body as a machine, seeing everything else as a machine, and trying to base more things based more on science, science and how things work, and there being a scientific explanation for everything. And then the third age, which we are in currently, postmodernism or after modernism, postmodernism, and from what this lecturer used to tell us, and he also wrote the textbook that we studied in that paper. He was saying postmodernism is like the two put together, the pre-modernism and modernism put together to create postmodernism, where we've got so much of the past that we can look through. There is so much that's been which we can use to our advantage, whether it's events or lessons learned or technology, history, knowledge, what have you. And we can use that to our advantage, and we can create what it is today, really a mix of things. Where, as you would expect, you would have both good and bad things from all eras of the past, which are useful today. And one thing which really sort of struck me, which I think a lot of people or a lot of us take for advantage, is yeah, today being postmodernism, it really is, if you like, the age of all ages. Meaning that okay, this year is 2024 doesn't mean that absolutely everything is of 2024. I mean, I was just thinking just before when I went out today to meet someone for a meeting, I'm in my late 30s. It's the year 2024. I drove a 2012 Toyota Aqua hybrid, so that's a 2010s car. I was listening to Bollywood music from the 1990s, um, What else? I met him in his office. The office seemed a bit behind its time, maybe like something out of the 70s or 80s, maybe even more behind. You might sort of get the idea. This is the age of all ages. We've got whether it's buildings or objects, or what people like, we've got them of all ages. We've got everything, we have access to everything. We have not really been surpassing in many ways. Sorry, we've been accumulating. There's nothing to stop someone from having, say, a medieval themed birthday party, which is obviously of the Middle Ages, but using technology, which is very recent, to enhance that, such as sound systems and lighting, maybe even AI, perhaps a drone for the videography, the photos, all that. So you sort of see it's interesting, really, when you think about it. It's the age of all ages. Nothing to stop you from, if you like, having a horse or a horse and cart if you really wanted to. Living a bit more like a farmer, and in some ways like an agrarian age, living in a different time, using technology from another time, enjoying movies, music, photos, art from a bygone era, or reading about a certain era, using technology from a bygone era, even just behaving like as if you were still in another era. So I do think it's very interesting. It's the age of all ages. We've got so much at our fingertips. We have not been surpassing. We have actually been accumulating. You look around you and you'll just see so many things of different ages. And it's really good because I would like to add to that. As you know, I'm a very proud multiculturalist. I'd like to add that we not only have things from different times, different periods, but we also have things of different races, different countries, different peoples, and I think that only enhances it even further. So yeah, it's amazing. We've got a lot to choose from. We've got a lot of variety. Things are still changing and things are still improving, at least in some ways. Things are still improving. And yeah, it's certainly something we should not take for granted, just how much we have available to us, how much we have to choose from. And that's what makes life, so good. Variety certainly is the spice of life. Thank you.